guiding idea of Ocean Audio when creating clips. Ocean Audio is set up so that all the information needed for the edit is stored in the source clip or audio file. This means no extra project file or folder to manage because necessary data is in the single source file. Hello and welcome to this short tutorial on a piece of audio editing software called Ocean Audio. So Ocean Audio is free and it's for Mac or PC, and it does a lot more things than what we're going to do here today. But what I'm going to demonstrate is how to make clips from this really easy audio editing program. And let me also say that while we're going to be using MP3 audio clips, it will also take the audio from MP4 video. It cannot edit video, but it can take the audio from the video. Where do I find Ocean Audio? Where we find everything, of course, on the internet. So here's Ocean Audio, and just go to this website and download. Let's see what it looks like, and here it is on my applications. This is a Mac. There it is right there. So I'm just going to double click it. There we go. Let's get this out of the way. And there's our interface. This is a blank. Nothing here yet, but this is our working window. This is the timeline where we're going to see some audio in a minute. This will be where the time stamps are, where the time is in the audio. You can see two lanes here in a minute, one on the top and one on the bottom. But for now, this is the first thing you do. And you only have to do it one time. So we're going to go into Preferences. And you're going to choose the sound icon. Now, in my case, I have already done this. But this box right here should be unchecked. Okay. The rest you can just leave as it is in the default. Okay, so we're going to close that out, and we're good to go. All right, so let's drag an MP3 in here, MP3 audio, which is typically what you're going to be working with if you do podcasts or make clips. So right over here on the arrow, there we go. It's pretty quick. Here's our timeline, as I mentioned. The whole thing is dense now because it's compressed. And we have our two lanes. The top lane will always look like that. It reflects the entire window, but it also is going to show you where you are in the audio file, which sometimes can be quite long. So I'm going to just click right here now that we've got it all compressed, and let's just see how long it is. Here we go. I'm dragging. This is the playback bar right here. It is close to 1 hour. Now there's no way we can possibly edit on something this dense. So what we're going to do is zoom in. That's some of the navigation I'm showing you right now. And as you can see, this highlighted part, it shrunk quite a bit. So this highlighted part of this whole track represents what we see in the window. That's it. I can click on there or just drag it really, and where you see that little bar, that's where a playback bar is. That's if I drag that out of the way. There we go. See, it's completely update in real time. There we go. Also, if I drag on the edge of that, I don't know how useful that is, but you can zoom in and out. And there we go. So this is still a little too dense. Let's zoom in again. I'm using my mouse. You can use one of these if you wanted to, you know, these up here, but you'll find yourself just using your mouse pretty much most of the time, or something similar, gestures. All right, and there we have it. The other part of the navigation is where these thin lines are. That's where no one's speaking. So I'm going to click there, and when the playback bar will go right where I click. And now I'm going to press the space bar. Pressing once starts, pressing it again stops. Here we go. Pressing the space bar.
Down 192 and out that way.
And where I stop, I just toggle the space bar again. It stops. up here you can use these as well if you want.
And she worked there at the chicken
So,
farm.
you
She
know,
would come home.
it's your preference. And I'm using also the mouse to scroll through here with my finger on the mouse. So you can use however you do it on your computer or your device. So while we're on this window, let's explain the kind of philosophy of Ocean Audio. It's really simple. What we have here is a source clip. This is our clip. It's the whole thing, almost an hour as we looked before. And that source clip is what you're going to use to choose your clips. So the first thing, when you get the file in there, and it makes this nice track, it really can't work properly because it's a generic MP3. So what we need to do right away is save this as. So we're gonna save this file. We're gonna save it as, and we are going to, this is our file name, and we're gonna save it not as this, but we're gonna save it as a WAV file, but it's an MP3 WAV file. And that will allow us to save the metadata. So it's down below here. Okay, and there it is right there. It says WAV MP3. Now we've changed, the WAV is important here because that's going to allow us to save the metadata for what comes next. And so we save that. It is converting all that. Okay. So now it says WAV MP3, and that's what we want to see. So I would suggest that you do this right off. The next thing we're going to do is put some labels in here real quick because all of this kind of looks alike. And what I would do is, if you were doing something extensive, is to go through here and label this. So I'm going to play a little.
My mom,
the space bar, right? I'm clicking and
used to call them croaker sacks, full of,
So that's, and we've zoomed in enough so that we have these nice flat spots. If we start in the middle, that's exactly what happens. It starts in the middle. You don't want to make a cut there, do you? So that's the way you would kind of approach the editing at the beginning, in case you've never done audio editing before. Let's do, first of all, let's make a clip without anything at all. It's just a real quick clip to make one and export it. So I'm going to do that just by clicking there and dragging. I'm still dragging a little bit more beyond this window to like right there. Okay. Now this has given us some information. For instance, the in and the out points for the audio in the whole track. The duration, 13 seconds. And the most important part, how we're going to make that clip. Over here it says drag me. And so just hover over there. I'm not clicking or pressing or anything. And now I'm going to drag it right in the window. Now we have just made a clip, just that fast. And so we can double click this and play it just like the other.
But we did hear about it.
So let's save it. Let's save it and make our own clip. And to do that, press the little floppy disk icon. And here we have it over here. And just already know where I'm going to put it in the folder. And so we'll just say school, just to relabel it. You might want something a little more extensive. You can let this go to whatever it says down here, and it'll be fine. This is an MP3, but it's that WAV format. It'll be fine. And let it go, and let's just save it. And it's successfully saved. So here's our folder right here. And this is what we just saved, and it is successfully in there. All right. So that's the way. We didn't have any other way to make that except just clicking and dragging. So that's a real quick way to do it. And now I'm going to use my mouse, and I'm just zooming in and out, right like that. Okay. So that's not really the proper way, to be honest with you. So let's do it the proper way. And for that, we're going to need to put labels in there. So let's just X out of here and close that out. It's fine. It's just not in the work window anymore. Here's our source. So here's our source file, and I'm going to click out of there so we will deselect our selection. Here's the labels. These are magic in my view because it gives you an ability to navigate up and down this massive file. So if I click there and use the spacebar and play.
You know those sacks
Like a mesh, brown mesh
yeah,
sack.
yeah.
So right there, I'm going to put a marker, and I'm going to just put, it's on the Mac, it's Command K. On the PC, it's Control K, but still K. So here we go. I'm doing Command K right now, and there is our marker. It's just a point on the timeline to keep track of things. You can also label it as you would imagine. I'll call this one school. There we go. Obviously, you would want to make sure that you put these in the right place. We're just doing it for time now, so
When that happened, but we did hear and fear.
you can do it on the fly. So I'm doing Command K
All of us,
wherever I want it, right there. There we go.
even from distances, we're drawn together emotionally. And
There we go, and so on and so forth. So you see how that works. All right, so that's great. Let's put one way at the end, just so I can show you in a minute here. So I'm going to do Command K right there. Let's label this end. There we go, and return. So what's so great about that? Well, let's look in the information window, and here are the markers we just made. All right, so to navigate those, let's go back to the beginning here. It says school, and the whole thing just went right back to the beginning. And this would, let me just show you so you can really see the difference. And the end is way down over here. Okay, so these are points, and let's just say you were over, like say here. I'll put another one in, Command K, and we'll just say, call this one. So that's great because now you can select in between those and you'll have your clip. Once we do that, we see all this information. It's 11 seconds. The end point is 20 minutes and 38 seconds, and the beginning point is 20 minutes and 27 seconds. This is where you make the clip. You drag this little icon right in the work window, and boom, you have a clip. It says snippet. It will always say snippet until you save and name it. And that's what we'll do now. To save, click the little floppy disk icon. There you have it. Name it class. There we go. You can let this default to this, or if you want to change it to the generic MP3, you can. It doesn't matter because we're not going to be putting metadata in this. So there we go. And there we have saved it. And here it is down here, class. We just did it there. Successfully saved. Very good. And also it reflected over here. Okay, so if I double click this, now I have this 11-second audio file, which behaves the same way.
That's what we called them back then.
Okay, and we double click this to load the entire thing in there. So it gets a little fancier. You can also select region. If I click here and drag as a region, now do Command K. Now do Command K. Look what happened. Turns into a region. So that means instead of a point, it is a space on the timeline. So let's see what happened down here. Got a new region and it's now red. And if we selected that, it would select that whole thing. So that's a little bit more fancy than you probably need. And also, if you click, there's a little tiny X up there, it gets rid of it, and guess what? It's gone down there too. Okay. All right, so that's a real quick way to make clips. And the last thing I'll leave you with is what about making multiple clips on the same selection clips? And yes, you can do that. So let's go back to our source, and that's already loaded. Let's just say, okay, from here to here, copy, Command C, just like you would. Command C. Now let's go back over here to this. Wherever you put that playback bar, that's where it's going to insert. So Command V for paste, and there you have it.
Yeah. Even from distances were drawn together emotionally.
And so at that point, you could save that, and it would save out as another clip. And except you'd have a whole assembly of them. You can do that. Here's another one. So this is just another audio. So here's another one that I just dragged in there. So I'm going to click on that, and it's pretty large.
The school back then was called the...
And I'm going to just make that selection. Command C, copy. Let's go back up here. And paste, Command V. And there you have.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And they both attended Benjamin Harrison in Cayenne.
So that can give you some ideas on how to make these podcasts. You can also record in that and many other things, but let's just leave it there for now. And that's a real quick, very whirlwind tour of Ocean Audio, which, by the way, does a lot more things. But we'll save that for another day. Okay, and the last thing we'll look at before we close out is the most important thing, and that's saving. So let me get this in here a little bit so we can see better. Okay, so here's our file. We're down to this, and I'm going to save, right? Just like we normally do, just save. Because we've already converted our file. Now it's saving all the markers and that sort of thing that we put in there. And remember, way back, I told you that we had to save it in this format, which is a WAV, although it is an MP3, so that we can save the markers and that sort of data. There's more types of data we could put in here, by the way, but we'll save that for another day. So that is why we are going to, we're saving it now, so it takes just a second. Okay, so it is completed. So let's take a chance here, and we're going to close it. So I am going to close Ocean Audio. Before I do that, let's take a look, and there's our markers, some of them, like we saw. And here's our information window, this I, and that brings up our marker list right here. So here they are. We've got the markers in there. And so I just want to show you that. So next we are going to, and let's close this out. I'm just going to close anyway. So we're gonna well, let's do it this way. So we'll close Ocean Audio that way. It still closes it. All right, let's open it back up. And if everything went right, we're going to see those labels in there are the marker metadata, or data, basically. So I'm opening up Ocean Audio again. Still don't have it there, so I'm going to go to my folder over here where I know I have it. I had saved it. And it's this right here. This one we saved. So I'm going to just drag that right in there. And if all goes well, look at this. We see our markers just like we left them. That's success. And then let's take a look at our information window that has the markers in there. Labels too, same thing. Interchangeable, really. They are markers. And look, there they are, just like we left them. So success. All right, thanks for listening. Bye.